Hello, everyone. Welcome to another broadcast of Northwest Georgia Cryptics. I'm Rick Weaver, and joined tonight, as always, by my co-host, Mr. Blake Duckworth. Doug in there in the middle. Tonight, our guest is Mr. Zeus Platt from Western Slope Bigfoot. Zeus is going to be discussing some new evidence that he's found out in Colorado, and also he's going to be discussing tonight with us about Facebook blocking him. So let's see what's going on. Zeus, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, guys?
How's it going, Zeus?
Oh, not bad.
Hey, buddy, the floor is yours.
You want me to go ahead and talk about the Facebook thing first?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about that first, yeah.
Okay. Me and my wife took a little vacation, went down south, 3 or 4 hour drive, and we're just doing a getaway, kind of a big Sasquatch expedition. Go check out some areas I've never been to, and didn't catch anything on film down there. Just a lot of structures. Got some vocals, some wood knocks, some footprints. Just came clear around through Bailey, and came all the way up through and around, and came back up through Granby. And I just doing some squatching up through there. I don't know. I got like 4 videos out of it, and anyways, I none of the hotel rooms had good enough service for my laptop to connect. There were pretty remote areas, and so I could make my video actually make it, but I couldn't upload it to YouTube or anything, for all the folks to watch and try to educate themselves on the stuff that I bring them. And well, anyway, I'd taken some pictures, and I went to post up some pictures, and I had gotten blocked off of every single group, and I couldn't even post on my own group, not even on the Western Slope Bigfoot page, because there's a Western Slope Bigfoot page and there's a Western Slope Bigfoot news, and either way, I was totally cut off. And there's a couple of several people actually mentioned that I probably got reported, or because a lot of the stuff I have is really good stuff. Like you'll see some pictures tonight of a newer Sasquatch that I've got on I didn't get it on video, but
It probably had something to do with, somebody, like you said, somebody reporting something, community guidelines, top deal. I mean,
yeah, that's what it was. It was like against the community guidelines, and
they didn't send you like any type of, message talking about, the community guidelines or.
No, it was some of my videos and some of my pictures, because I haven't really been out lately. The pictures you'll see of that Sasquatch was like the last time, and that was probably over a week ago or so. And I haven't been going out lately because I've been really thinking heavy about some stuff, and I will talk about that here in a minute. It's kind of important. So I was blocked from posting anything on any of these groups, and I was just like, and a lot of people were saying, because see, I get a lot of jealousy from other researchers. You know what I mean? I give other researchers a lot of props. If they find good stuff, I'm like, that's great. You want to learn from each other as researchers, Maybe
well, that's what that's what it should be about, not, who's the best or who, whatever.
No.
I mean, people get in their heads. I mean,
and there's a lot of other researchers out there, like an incredible amount, that sit there and hate on one another, for the fame and fortune. They're just like, why do that? Why? Since when is Sasquatch such a hateable subject? We're all in it to learn more and in the discovery of this creature and understand it, its culture, its way of life, and everything. But when researchers just sit there and they totally, how should I say, down the Sasquatch game, down that whole thing, it's discouraging, it's disheartening.
Well, you shouldn't have the hate and in the competition aspect, and that should not be involved in a subject like this.
No, and they're just so into competition. And if I post a lot of really good stuff, and I want to share that with the world out there. There's a lot of people that can't get out of the chair. They're disabled. That count on guys like us, that go out there, and they like seeing that. They want to know more, but they can't go out themselves. There's a lot of people that are just too scared to go out, so they watch people like us, that risk our butts, our lives, literally risk our lives going out there and and researching these Sasquatch out in the woods. So there's just a limited number of us that do this type of things, and a lot of Sasquatch research videos on YouTube, a lot of channels. Some of their stuff has been 2 years since they last posted, and I get curious about that. Like, are they being harassed by other researchers? Did they just have something happen that scared them off? Or what happened? And it kind of...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people lose interest in the social media side of things as well. I mean, far as, posting what they're doing. I mean, one, because, it could be a reason, like you said, I mean, just...
getting attacked.
Hate, attacked, whatever you want to call it.
And I've gotten a lot of that. And I almost thought about hanging it up a few times and just keeping everything to myself. And then I thought, well, no, there's a lot of thousands of people that really, really
what
like.
What does that accomplish? What does that accomplish? Because you're doing your research, not just for personal reasons, but to help with answers.
Help with answers, educate people that have a yearning and want to know why this, why that, what are they doing, and so forth. And I try my best. Like I said, and everything's a theory, nothing's definitive. There's no expert out there. I don't care who it is. I'm not an expert. I just know a lot of stuff from experience. But again, it's all theories on about everything that I know. And a lot of it might be correct and some of it may not be. But these guys, they see my stuff on social media, and I could post up really good stuff. Like I made a little slideshow video of a handful of Sasquatch that I've gotten on video or camera, and really good stuff. I mean, they're not blob squatches. It's not pareidolia. I mean, there's clip frames of it moving and standing, or kind of, and they're a little bit blurry, but people got to understand, as those Sasquatch aren't right up in my face. They're out their ways, and I try to bring it in, zoom it in. You take your screen and you zoom your screen in, and you take those screenshots of a zoomed in. You're going to get pixelated a little bit, but you see the being, you see the creature there. And other researchers, they don't want to give props,
Well, I mean, there's so many, like you're talking about. I mean, you lose so much resolution that, I mean, you still see shapes and objects and stuff like that. But far as details or anything, I mean, once you zoom in like that on a photo, it loses a lot of resolution.
Because otherwise, if I leave it at that distance, just post up the picture,
you can't see
much. You can't see much. You just might see a black little slit or something, and I have to zoom it in a little bit, and you could see it's a little blurry, but you're not going to get a picture of a Sasquatch in crystal clear image. I don't care who you are. They manipulate your equipment. They do it to me every time. I got a 4K camera, and a lot of times I'll go out there, and suddenly my camera just gets really blurry, and it goes wacko on me, and that tells me that they're in the area. I think it's like maybe an infrasound, maybe some kind of energy that they emit, and they mess with your images. But the images that I got, they're really good images. They're no blob squatches, they're no pareidolia. And this guy, a researcher guy gets on there and he says, "Oh, pareidolia." Dude, you just can't admit and just give me props and say, "Dude, that's freaking awesome. I'd like to learn more. Where were you at? What state or anything like that." It's just pure credit. just because you got something really good, they just sit there and they just discredit you. But you know what I mean? And somebody called me a buffoon. It's like, are you serious? What the hell? You know what I mean? Like, why keep attacking me?
And the way I look at it, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But if you don't have something nice to say, that's what's wrong with the world. If you don't have something nice to say, just move on with your life.
Yeah.
Just
And
don't even, there's no point in even saying anything. I mean,
and as far as like having an opinion is like, well, I don't know, I don't know, that kind of looks different to me versus, dude, you're a effing joke. What are you even doing? That's a freaking bear, you stupid ass.
Yeah.
That's not an opinion. That's called insulting. An opinion is, oh no, I don't know. I think it looks like a bear a little bit, maybe. Whatever.
And people don't realize, that's a form of bullying. Like that can really, I don't want to say mess with you too much. I mean, depending on what type of person you are, but I mean, it's definitely like you said. You just thought about hanging it up. I mean, stuff like that can push somebody to stop doing what they like to do, or at least, far as social media aspect.
And I just sit there, and a couple of times I was kind of down on it. It's like, man, they totally smash your light. You know what I mean? And I sit there and think, why would I stop for a moron that's talking crap to me and discrediting me when I know what I have? And I've been called fake since the last time I was on this show. All kinds of people told me, you faked that. Oh, all the information you got, you're a joke. You just got it off other guys on podcasts. And I'm like, the stuff and the bullying and the crap that I hear is just completely out of this world. And it's like, oh, so the 30 years of experience that I have and what I've learned from my dad and some of his friends and stuff I've learned on my own and some of the stuff I've even learned from other researchers, because I can admit I learned some stuff from other researchers. It's just like, they come in and and I feel like it's a huge jealousy thing. It's just like, get off your butt, go out there and look for them yourself if you can do better. And the negativity part on it, and then I sit there and think, well, why do I want to let some, moron talk like that to me and then put me down when there's thousands of people that enjoy what I do and actually write me and say
the good overweighs the bad.
Yeah, they say don't
always remember that.
Yeah, and they say please don't give it up. We absolutely love watching your videos, and they're very informational and they're very educating, and I've heard that 1,000 times. And they said don't let a handful of people, other researchers and maybe just regular people, sit there and kill your shine. And I'm like, you know what? That's true. It does irritate me in that aspect, but it's not going to stop me. They could try to silence me on Facebook. I'm going to come back. They can keep doing what they want to do, but I'm going to keep coming back. They're the ones that's just going to look like idiots,
And that's one reason we kind of do what we do. Like, I mean, I'm not real big on sharing evidence. We do a podcast. We do our research. If we find anything that's straight up definitive, of course, at whatever point it will be shared. But I'm not big. It's not worth the hate to me. Like, I mean, and the discredit and whatever. I mean, it's just because we've thought about doing actually videos as far as like out in the field and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. I don't like. They're just people that irritate me in this world, and I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not going to slow me down. I'm going to keep doing this, and until I become a missing 411, we will get to that a little bit. And it's going to take a lot for that to happen because I'm not an easy one to go down, even in the woods. I've got into it with moose and almost got my ass kicked, but I was more pissed off than scared because it's happened so many times. It's just like, really? I'm not doing nothing to you. Why are you chasing me through the woods? I ain't doing nothing to you. And they just throw their ears back, stomp the ground, rock back and forth and all this, and then they come after me. And I had to get in a group in the trees And sometimes I got to take a stick and smack it on the head, try to deter it. And eventually they figure, well, whatever, and they walk away. And I walk away, and my heart's doing 1,000,000 miles an hour. That I almost got my ass kicked by a 2,000-pound freaking moose. So there's a lot to it. I just don't let these other guys. It does irritate me, but like I said, that whole blocking thing on Facebook, that was so uncalled for, because there was a lot of people that actually was wondering where the hell I went.
And I guarantee what happened, somebody that's been giving you the hate is probably who reported some of the stuff. I mean, 9 times out of 10, when something like that happens, it's somebody that you've been dealing with.
Yeah, and I was told that somebody is very jealous. They don't like the fact that I'm showing all this good evidence, and it's like, why? If it was me sitting here and you were showing good evidence, I'd want to watch you all the time, and I'd want to learn what you're doing and how you're doing it, and I want to learn, just learn as much as I can, so I can utilize it and bring in these creatures, the same way.
Well, that's what I always say is, I mean, that's what the community should be about, learning from other researchers.
Yeah.
Because that tells you more than anything. That's how we're going to get answers.
Yeah, exactly. And well, let me tell you though, I was blocked for 4 days, and then I waited that 4 days. I thought, I'm unblocked. I'm going to start sharing my little expedition. Start sharing my stuff from that expedition. I posted, got to the 3rd group, and blocked me for 10 days immediately.
Somebody had already reported it.
Quick. And then I waited that 10 days, and I came on, and I finally, shared my evidence and shared my stuff, and I haven't been blocked yet again. And what's really funny is there was a group, Bigfoot photos or something and more, Bigfoot videos and photos and more, or something like that. There's 2 of them, and one of them is a good one, but the other one, I had went in and posted a video. They've been denying every piece of all my pictures and my videos, and I didn't even know it until I posted the video, and I got a notification saying that my request was denied. And I clicked on it, and it showed me everything that they denied. They denied all my Sasquatch videos and all my evidence for, I want to say, a couple of weeks now. And I felt like, well, are they at fault for what happened, trying to silence me? Because they were the only group that did that. So I just took myself off that group. I wrote them a nasty little.
Since you took yourself off that group, you haven't had no problems.
I haven't had any problems yet, but I wrote them a nasty little thing and say, you guys need to grow up, and more. I didn't cuss at them and put them down. I just said, this is wrong. This is stupid. You need to grow up. I'm just trying to share my evidence that I find, that I risk my life for, to the people that really enjoy and want to, and try to educate themselves and learn a little something from this whole subject. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was crazy.
And like I said, if somebody's got a problem with it, just move on. Don't, there are 15 other people that would like to see it versus, to that one that has a problem with it. So just, leave it alone.
There's a lot of people that get on there and try to insult me and just discredit me, and I go, block. I block every one of them. I mean, they just, in my eyes, I feel like they're not worthy to see the good evidence that I have. They're nasty people. I don't need that negativity in my area, even on the social media. So I don't say nothing to them. I go in and block. I block every single one of them. So that's the way I handle it.
I've been doing this for over 40 years, and I'll tell you, brother, I have seen a lot of your evidence that you presented, and all of it has been fantastic. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as Blake is concerned, our other team members, man, you're doing a great job, and keep it up.
Yeah, I sure appreciate it. I like coming on to your shows. You guys are awesome.
I really appreciate it.
Well, one of the biggest things about us is we we don't judge people. I mean, that's not our place. We don't judge evidence. Now, I mean, like I said earlier, everybody's entitled to their opinion on things. And don't get me wrong, we've had some people on the show that I'm not going to say they were faking stuff or something wasn't right about something, but it's not my place to say anything. I mean, like I said, if I don't have anything to say nice, I just leave it alone. I mean, we all go to bed at night, we all wake up, new day. I mean,
sit back and go ding, 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 like I'm on to you. But oh well, you just do your thing, whatever. I'm on to
I
you.
mean, there's no point causing uprise with people. Like, I hate drama. Like, it's just,
Yeah,
it's unnecessary.
it totally is.
So many people feed on it. Like, I mean, a lot of the people you're probably dealing with the hate are probably just trolls, just people that have nothing better to do than to just cause an uproar about something. I mean,
and you want to hear something funny too? On one of my videos, my videos get like it's pretty much nothing but likes. There's never any dislike. Every now and then there would be a dislike. I think at the most I've seen like 2 or 3. You know, it's just like whatever, you don't like it, whatever. But I kept noticing on each video there was a dislike, and then finally this guy, he subscribed to me, gets on there and he talks a lot. He talked a lot of crap to me, and I didn't say nothing back. I blocked him, and every video since then has not had a dislike. And I said,
like our videos, same here. We ever since we've started, which not going to go into anything, but whatever. That's beside the point. Ever since we started, we've always had 2 or 3 dislikes on all our videos.
It's because somebody's coming in there that's jealous. They're just
ever since we started. No more, no less. It's always 2 or 3 likes on every single video.
Yeah, because there's a couple of people on there. Yeah, there's a couple of people on there that's just they gotta show that negativity.
We actually have a pretty good idea of who's doing it, and you know, it doesn't bother me a bit.
Okay, I admit I'm one of them.
I do this.
I dislike my own video.
Oh Lord, I do this, as you say, as educational purposes, to actually educate my fellow man that these creatures do exist, that they're out there in the forest. You know, I get it all the time. You know, oh man, you really believe in Sasquatch? Are you crazy? You know, whatever. You know, man, I have actually saw these things. I've had encounters with these things. I've had rocks thrown at me. I've had trees broke over, tree limbs popped 20 yards from me, and you know, I know these creatures exist. You know, and I try to tell people, you know, when you go out there and you're in the forest, you're in their home. You're not in your house anymore. You're in their house, and you know they're either going to accept you being there, or they're going to try to run you out.
Yeah.
And you know, and when you have an encounter where one's throwing rocks at you, throwing sticks at you, you know, whatever, you know, the best thing you can do is pack up and leave. And that's what I try to tell people. You know, 90% of the time you're going to be in the woods and you're going to encounter, or these creatures are going to encounter you without you encountering them. They're going to know you're there way before you ever know they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I try. That's what I try to educate people. You know, just because you don't, you know, I've had people tell me, oh, you know, hell, man, I've been out in the woods for 40, 50 years deer hunting. I've never encountered anything like this. Well, just because you've never encountered it doesn't mean that it wasn't there.
Yeah, they didn't bother to look. They didn't.
Well, that's what I mean. And that's the thing. Like, and that's what people need to realize as researchers. Like, from people that's never had, as far as people that's never had any type of experience or whatever, you look at things differently once you've had an actual encounter. You learn what to look for. You learn. It's like anything. It's like a hunter. That the first time you ever go hunting, you may not see a deer, but after years of doing it and years of finding out locations and things about them and how to track animals and so forth, you become better at it. and it's more of a natural thing at that point. Or I shouldn't say natural thing, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I mean, we understand it a little different than somebody like Ricky saying just go into the woods and just for whatever reason, more likely you're not going to have an encounter unless it's just meant to happen.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times though, it depends on if they're in the area.
Oh, exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
you have
always
to go to an area, of course, they're at. I mean,
yeah, they're always. You could go to an area where they're at. There've been sightings, but they keep moving. In the summertime, they'll move, probably 3 miles this way, 4 miles this way. And they got little spots that their little clan or family, they'll
yeah,
keep, they don't hold
they
one spot and stay there all summer long.
they don't truly migrate to a huge extent, but they'll be in a general area within, say, a 10-mile radius.
Yeah, they're always hopping around. They're never in, say, Twin Sisters. They're not in there all year round. They get Twin Sisters. They'll move to Long Peak. They'll move to Meeker. They'll double back around and hit Twin Sisters again. Then they may go back over to Kruger, and then come wintertime, I think they do migrate actually further than 10 miles in the wintertime because the snow up here. I don't even know how the elk survive.
Yeah. Well, you live in I mean, you live in a different environment. I mean, I'm sure that varies across the region.
The migrational patterns between where you're at, I'm at, and
Yep.
Texas and stuff, it depends on how they move.
Certain areas they're going to migrate more than others.
Yeah, to get out of so much snow, whether it's more their winter grounds, it's more manageable for them to actually survival okay with their families, whatever.
Of course.
Well, let me ask you this: Bruce. In your area, excuse me, in your area out there, and doing your research, have you actually found areas where it could be a wintering area for these creatures?
Oh, I kind of think where they go is they head south to southeast of my location. And there, if you move south and southeast of my location, you're going to drop in elevation a little bit, especially when you head east. You're going to drop in elevation quite a bit, and your snowfall and everything's going to be a lot less than up in these higher mountains up here. And I'll bet money they migrate up to 60, 50, 60 miles. I'll bet on it. East and kind of south of me, they'll migrate into those areas, and then during when spring starts coming around, starts warming up, they drop back and they start follow. But they also follow the game, and that's where the game go, like the elk and stuff. They do the same thing. They head down miles and miles. They head out to more manageable areas than it is up here in the wintertime. Because up here in the wintertime, it is a shithole. 6 feet of snow, 80-mile-per-hour glacier winds. It's crazy up here. And you don't see any elk. The only thing that you see are the deer. Every now and then you might see an elk here in town. But the elk are pretty much in the summertime. They're here in town all the time. But they all move out. And, well, so do the Sasquatch. And I think they kind of not follow each other.
They follow migrational patterns of other animals.
Yeah, because that's the food, That's
Yeah.
And they just kind of all have the same idea anyway of where they're migrating to. So they just move to little lower elevations, little less snow, more manageable area to survive. So.
And another thing, I just want to ask you, as far as birthing patterns for these creatures, have you found areas out there where they've actually built shelters or whatever to give birth to the young?
No, the structures that I find are blinds. I believe they're blinds, hiding blinds, little hunting blinds, because I find a lot of blinds that are a high traffic game area, and there's this blind sitting there, and an elk or a deer isn't going to see something sitting in there when they walk by, and it's going to it'll come out and grab them when they come walking right by it. You know, they strategically place those, and they drop logs that, like these what I call a Sasquatch lumber yard. There's all these logs that are just piled on top of each other, and I think they do that purposely to corral, because I'll notice over here there's a huge area, over here there's nothing, and then you go up a little bit and there's a bunch of logs, and I think it's designed to corral game, because the game are going to take the easy route. They're not going to bother walking through all that crap.
So basically, they're funneling them into their hunting areas.
And it just seems like every time on either side of those, and there's the path, a very large path, and in between all these Sasquatch lumber yards, there's a structure. It's like, well, that's kind of a no-brainer, because he's sitting right here. The game are coming in from here, and they're coming in from here. They don't go here, but they got to pass right by him. And, you know, it's kind of like, well, that's what they do, I think. They corral them in. And I think a lot of the other structures, they're all symbolism, a language to each other. If another group comes into the area or whatever, again, it's just a theory. It might be symbolism to them, a language telling them, what kind of food is in the area, what kind of game is in the area, how thick the game are, how often they may run through here, day or night. You know, and like I said, like vegetation, which way the water source is from that spot, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And it might mean a certain clan's symbol or something. I don't know. Certain individuals reside there. How many? There's a whole huge thing. And I think all of that symbolizes others to others, and maybe even other creatures out there that this is an area where they reside, but careful going any further. You see what I'm saying? And it tells them, like I said, it just tells them, it might tell them like what game is in the area, food, water, just all kinds of stuff like that, which way they come or which way they go, all these stick breaks. And it's not that often I find, two trees that are busted and split in the middle and coming just like that. And I've got that on video. And I kind of think that's something to do with some sort of pathway or something. It's something to do with directional pathway, because every time they're pointing north and south, those breaks, those double breaks like that. The single breaks are always pointing towards human trails, human activity, roads, whatever. Those double breaks, they're always pointing north and south. I never see one pointing east or west. So that tells me that's how they migrate too. They go north, they go south. And it's warmer, less crap to deal with from the weather. And it was, I don't know, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks ago, Sasquatch will make a path, and I think it's a safe haven path from humans and from whatever. But usually they'll stick a log on each side, and they'll line another log, and they'll line another log, just small, logs, and tip to tip. And that's like a pathway right there. It's like a safe haven pathway. And, I found one of the biggest pathways I have ever seen anybody ever find. You find the small ones with, I've found up to, I've seen other researchers with up to 4, suspecting that that's a pathway. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, yeah, that's what it is. It's some kind of pathway. There's one up in Twin Sisters. I would walk miles and miles back up in there with my buddy from town, and this thing went a quarter of a mile, and then I call all these people saying, "Oh, that's a mountain bike trail," and I'm like, if you watch the video, you can clearly see that is not a mountain bike trail, and it's a long ways away from people, and there's a purpose for that. It's a long ways away from people. Absolutely, I guarantee it, nobody goes up there. You might find somebody crazy like me or like you guys that would hike that far back into off trail into the dark wilderness and see a path like that. And it totally made sense to me. I was like, well, this is perfect. It's just below the peak. It's, again, heading north or south along with those breaks. And I said, well, this is crazy. You know, this thing is running a quarter of a mile of what I could see, and it continued around and still kept going south. And I said, well, that's what this is. It's a safe travel point. They're not going to be seen by a human. They're just not unless I'm up there. And nobody takes their bikes up there. They'd be, for one, they couldn't fit a bike in a lot of those places. You have to wind around a tree or whatever. And number two, the rocks that are there, and that's another thing. It seems like there's kind of a lot of rock, you know, so they don't leave a lot of footprints, even though the ground isn't that great for a footprint at all. You just see impressions. And this thing goes for miles and keeps going up to the bottom of Twin Sisters. And I could bet that it either takes a left and probably maybe a right and come across up into Kruger. And there's your safe haven. You're never going to get seen by a human being if you take that path.
Rick, you got a chupacabra.
Yeah. It's my Squatch dog here.
Holy shit, that's the clearest chupacabra picture I've ever seen.
That's my Squatch puppy. I actually took him.
Don't everybody do not let his cuteness fool you.
Yeah.
You reach in to pet him, you'll bring back a nub.
Oh,
great dog. He really is.
He really is. He's a great dog. He and Blake, I think.
But he is bipolar. He is one of the most bipolar dogs I've ever met. He's fine with you petting him, but when he's done, he is done. You'll be sitting there just rubbing him, petting him, and he'll be all happy and everything. And all of a sudden, just when he's done, he'll just reach back and snap at you.
That's funny. My sister has one of those dogs. Oh, he's so cute. He's a little chihuahua. Oh, cute as hell. Hand her off to my sister. He turns around and he wants to rip your freaking head off, barking and snarling. And you reach in to pet him, and he kind of snarls at your fingers, and then suddenly he loves you again.
I mean, he's not gonna like bite you, but I mean, he'll definitely, you know, he'll get you a little bit if he's done. I mean, just to let you know, hey, you can go on now.
That sounds like my ex-wife.
Oh Lord. Mm. But no, I know exactly what you're talking about as far as being back in the mountains like that. Blake and I have an area that we go to over at Blue Ridge, and it's like what 14 miles.
A little over 14 miles.
Yeah, we go to back in there, and man, I'm telling you what, you know, human traffic is very light over in there.
It is. I mean, it's on the Appalachian Trail. So, I mean, you know, they are people that do go up there, but it's, you know, you're not up there unless you have a reason. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I mean, it's not just somewhere you end up. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like that.
We've got some great evidence from over in there.
There's something I want to bring up that I think it's fairly important. It is to me. It's got me a little freaked out. And you want me to kind of mention it? It's not very long, but it's kind of I wanted to bring up. So I like to watch videos of other researchers in other areas and, you know, see what they find. I just, you know, I try to support all the other researchers on their channels and stuff. And there's a channel called On the Trail of Bigfoot. These guys are good. I like watching those guys. You know, I think they're out of Florida or something. Well, the other night, it was late at night, and I seen a video, and I think one of the guys' name, it was Mike or something. And Well, they were sitting there with a lady, and he was talking about how Mike had, I think that's his name. I could be wrong. It was late. He went he went into the woods by himself to do some research. Well, he came back and he wasn't in his right mind. It was almost he acted like almost like somebody. I think he explained it like the fire in the sky incident where the man got taken away. But man, he wasn't right after that. And what irritated me is he said, "I'm not going to mention what he said. He had very important information. I'm not going to, say what he said right now. Maybe on a later video. But let me tell you this: it probably explains a lot of missing 411 cases and how his life and other researchers, of course, are in extreme danger." And I thought, well, what the hell, man?
Tell me.
That's yeah. I'm back in miles into those woods by myself, off trail, no people around. It's just me, the lions, the bears, and the Sasquatch and the elk. You know what I mean? And those other creatures out there that I don't even know what the hell they are. And I think those are more dangerous than Sasquatch because, oh man, they get crazy. But anyway, and I wanted to try and get a hold of him and ask him, because I watched some videos after that, and he has good videos. He bring a psychic guy out, this old guy, and this guy seemed to be really on target, on stuff. And
Hi guys, I've got to run just for 1 second. I'll be right back.
okay, and with the psychic guy was kind of saying what Bigfoot was kind of relaying to him, like, what are you doing out here? Why are you doing this? And it's just like, that's kind of like, a little bit scary, them questioning your existence out there in that forest like that. It's a little bit unnerving. And then when I came across the video of him saying, oh, how that explains a lot of missing 411 cases, but he's not going to say anything yet. And I'm like, dude, that's freaking important.
Yeah, that's some need to know basis thing. I
mean, you got to get that information. If you have some kind of information, like if I did, and I would put that out there in several videos if I have to.
Yeah.
Because that's information that I could.
Everybody needs to know. I mean, anybody that's in the woods in general.
Exactly, and I want to know what went on and why was that seen to be part of the missing 411 cases. That explains a lot of them. It's just like, what the hell? You need to tell me.
When was that video posted? Do you know the date it was posted?
No, it was posted this summer. I want to say not more than 2 months, maybe. I could be wrong.
So he never posted a video after that about it?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong. But I watched videos. I usually watch all of his videos because I like to watch this that they got going on down there in Florida. And he's got a pretty good setup and contacts like the psychic and stuff. So I like to watch him and a lot of other people. But when he had that one video, that video struck me hard. It's like, what in the F did he say? Us, we all need to know this so we don't end up
in that situation.
Yeah, not coming back to their families, take off Squatchin one day and never come back. And it's on a no basis.
There's definitely something to the missing 411 cases. Don't get me wrong, people get hurt, people get off track, people, things happen, people come up missing. But when you have experienced hunters, experienced outdoors people that, that come up missing and just it doesn't make sense where things are found, how can they be here 1 second, something be found? It just, they're a lot more to it than just somebody getting off their path or, getting hurt. Because if they got hurt, they'd have been found.
Yeah.
If they, it's,
you want to hear something unnerving? 2 of the missing 411 cases that are on that video, when I watched that video, I said, are you effing kidding me? Are right here by me. One is just up the road, one is 50 miles that way. I'm like, really? I scour these mountains by myself all the time, and there just happens to be two right
How convenient.
and one of them is just right up the road, 5 miles. That happened some years back with a little boy that disappeared from behind they was at it's a church up there, a really old church that sits on a rock, and this boy was fishing not 30 yards from from the building into the creek, and the guy, because it was like a little camp, a little place for kids and stuff, for like a summer thing, and he went fishing over there. And the guy came, got the kid, said, "Hey, it's dinner time. Let's go." The kid grabbed his stuff. He must have been 10 or 11, and he was walking behind the guy, and the guy was talking to him, and all of a sudden it just quiet, and the guy looked behind him. Kid's completely gone. And he yelled for the kid, looked all over for the kid. It was just like the kid was talking.
He just disappeared.
Next thing you know, they found his body up on Meeker Mountain.
Yeah, I've heard.
Way up there. Yeah, it's like 13,000 feet up onto this mountain, and there's a ravine. And I look at that damn thing every day. I see it from my house, that ravine. And I think, what took that kid?
How did that kid end up there?
And where he disappeared from that church, it's miles and miles. God, it's probably 4 miles, maybe 5 miles up to that ravine above Timberline in the rock.
And not saying the kid couldn't go there, but why? I mean, like,
how would he make it?
Yeah.
Because that's some really rough country, and I want to do a little video just to show on location of a missing 411 case. I want to get their permission to investigate in back of that church in those deep, dark woods. I don't know how far back I want to go. I might have to throw my shotgun on, my 357 and my AK-47 and my RPG launcher. Camera in this hand, RPG launcher in this hand. Try to make.
But the scary part about that is, talking about he understood how people come, victims of missing 411. It may be something, no matter what you got with you, that it just, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it may not be a physical, like, something in front of you situation. I mean, could be some type of infrasound that happens or something that where you lose all reality, and you're not physically in your body. I mean, as far as knowing what you're doing, or
yeah. So you can't defend yourself, and that's what I thought. Unless it was cloaked, you're standing here, and that thing comes by just like a train. Wow, done. You don't know what hit you.
Right. Maybe. That's like here a few months ago, there was a hiker over next to Dahlonega. Guy was 41, 42 years old. Good physical health. Had started out on the Appalachian Trail over there. His plans were to walk the full length from Springer Mountain to Bridgeport, Maine, which is 2,100 and something miles, I think it is. But this third day into the hike, some hikers actually found his backpack, and it was like 2-3 days later they found the guy's body about 14 miles off the trail from where he should have been, and from my understanding on it, when they done the autopsy on the guy, there was no apparent cause of death.
Wow.
No heart attack, no injuries, so what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, they just become in a trance and just, for why are you going to leave your backpack? Why are you going to go 14 miles in the opposite direction of somewhere you don't need to go? Like, just
take your shoes off.
Unless you just don't know what you're doing. I mean,
take your boots off and your socks off and leave them nicely by a tree, and then find your backpack 6 miles away, and then at 7 miles
you're over here, yeah.
Find your t-shirt It's just like, what the hell? And then they find your body 20 miles away with these little clues all the way up. It's like, why would you do that?
That's
Makes
right.
no sense.
I was watching a documentary the other night, and it was on this young guy. He was 19 years old. This happened back in the late 90s, I think they said it was, and it was out in your area. Zeus, he was a nature photographer. He had called his wife, his mother and stepfather. They lived in, I think it was Washington State. He had told them he was at a certain spot there in this area where there's a lake at. Um, the next day, he told them he'd contact them the next day. Well, next day rolled on, he didn't contact them. I think they said they let it go for a couple of days. He still hadn't contacted them. They got a hold of the forest rangers. I can't remember what park this was at, but anyway, they got to searching the park, and they couldn't find him anymore.
Yeah.
3 years afterwards, after he came up missing, they found his well, they found his pants. His pants had been unzipped, was laying underneath a big boulder. Uh, Fragments of bone inside the pants, blue jean pants. But what got me was they said that the pants looked like they had not been out in the weather, for 3 years.
Yeah.
So the pants looked like, kind of like fresh clothing in there. Uh, but this was 3 years later, 19 miles away from where he was supposedly at, and he wasn't familiar with the area. Uh, and when he came up missing, there was snow, like a 2 or 3 foot snow on the ground. So what would possess somebody to walk 19 miles through the snow and then just lay down and die?
Yeah. Well, it's like a previous show I told you about a guy just right over here. He went up he parked, very experienced outdoors guy, and he walked so many miles in. I want to say it was like over by Cone Mountain somewhere. He ended up missing. I think he was missing for almost 2 weeks, and then they finally found him way up in the mountains. Blunt force trauma, like all over his body. And they said he fell off a cliff. Really? Did he really fall off a cliff? You know what I mean? There's too much of that shit that goes on around here. It freaks me out. I'm always out here. I comb all these mountains. And I get some a lot of areas where there's some shit happening, and it's not all the time Sasquatch. And I just turn around and I leave because something.
Yeah, and I mean, the missing 401 may not have anything to do with Sasquatch. That's just a theory. I mean, which in some cases could, but something paranormal. I won't even. Yeah, let's just classify as paranormal because that's pretty much what it is. It's something that cannot be explained. Happens.
Yeah, and there's beings out there. Well, I know Sasquatch cloak too, but I don't. They're aggressive. They're not a bundle of roses people think, and I know that for a fact. A lot of people, they're so peaceful and they're so full of energy and they're so full of love. No, man.
I mean, I'm sure some are. I'm sure. If they're like humans, you're gonna have nice ones. You're gonna have happy ones. You're gonna have sad ones. You're gonna have depressed ones. I mean.
But up here, I mean, in your guys' area, I hear they're way more aggressive. I heard people, come up missing, get attacked, whatever. Serious stuff.
Our experience, like my experiences I've had over the 11 years I've been doing it, I've never had a true aggressive encounter. I mean, have I been scared? Yes, but that's just natural fear. That's your body, that's your mind, that's it controlling it. I mean, but never like this is it type situation. I'm possibly not going to come back home.
Oh no, rocks thrown at you, sticks thrown at you, trees pushed over. of course, we've had those type of encounters with them. But as far as Blake says, just as far as one running up and grabbing you and tearing you from limb to limb, no, we've never encountered anything like that.
I think a lot. I think a lot of the time, given the chance, it would happen if you don't leave. I honestly do think so. It's like I try to
And
tell
that's the
people.
thing, we leave. Like if there something aggressive going on or some type of warning, we've always left. We've never, I won't stick around. Like, I mean, I'm not scared. But I'm not dumb. I mean, there's a difference.
Get your evidence real quick, check it out, get your vocals, and then just go ahead and get the hell out of there. Don't pursue it because you're gonna.
You may
I
find
think there's
something you don't
levels.
want to find. Yep.
I think there's levels that they give you, and I try to tell people, be careful with Sasquatch. Dead serious, and I've always known this. My dad's always told me that. Be careful with these creatures. They're not a bundle of joy.
Just about any animal or being or creature or whatever you want to call them, if you push it, they become aggressive. They're different a level. Say you get in a confrontation. Most people aren't going to be super aggressive at the beginning, but if you keep pushing that person, keep pushing that person, keep pushing that person, it's eventually going to become aggressive.
Yeah, they give you these little hints. They don't want you around. They don't want to talk to you.
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
Case in point is that happened at work tonight. We had one of the guys that works there at the shop. He's all time aggravating various customers that come in and out of the store. Well, tonight one guy walks in. The guy went back and picked up a gallon of some type of cleaner. Came back up toward the counter. The dude walks out from behind the counter and cracks off something at it. Well, the guy throws the gallon cleaner at the dude and storms out of the store. So yeah, that just goes to show, you're going to, even though you're friends with people, there's times that you're going to catch them in the wrong mood, and yeah, they're going to throw something at you. They're going to, I can see why so many killings nowadays goes on because of people being stressed out to the max and you just catch them in the wrong mood, and something bad's going to happen. Well, that's just like a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
You get one of them out there and them having a bad day, and you catch that sucker in the wrong mood, you liable end up dead because of it.
Yeah, and the thing is, they have boundaries. They have an area that's theirs, most of the area. They don't want you to come out looking for them. They don't really want to interact with you. You're a human. We are doing some bad things on this planet. And when you're going in to their area and they're in there and they see you, they're giving you those hints to leave because they don't want to have nothing to do with you. They don't want you in their area. They don't want you even seeing them.
Yeah, but they try to, at most of the time encounters, far as they lead into things. They'll start with the, more bluff type things. You throwing rocks because if they clearly wanted to hit you, they could.
Oh, yeah.
Doing things to scare you to try to get you to leave. But like you said, you should keep, you keep pushing, you're going to get different reactions.
And I've had people tell me, well, why didn't you take off running after that thing when you got it on video or camera? And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's a move saying, hey, I'm being aggressive. Let's fight. I'm chasing after you now. Like, no, I don't want that. I got him on video. I'm good. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to go ahead and leave and go somewhere else. And maybe come back to that area a month or two, or maybe even the next year. I give it time, And I think they build up a little bit of trust and they start, seeing that you're not going to go in there and you're not really trying to push your luck with them so much. They still have their boundaries.
I'm sure it's same as humans. You're cool with certain people coming on your property, doing this, doing that, whatever. But
actually, I don't want anybody on my property.
Do what?
Property.
Yeah.
But he's got a picture of something Sasquatch do. And it's really a rare thing, kind of like the root ball up in the air, stuck in the ground kind of thing, that you don't see much of it often at all. Even me, as much as I'm out, I really don't see what I call a tree wrapping. Is the only way I can say it. They take and wrap a tree around a rock, form that rock.
You won't share that picture, Ricky?
And there's a log on each side.
Boys, I've had some type of technical difficulty with our streaming. I can't get the pictures pulled up, so
Uh-oh.
we're gonna have to do that on. We're gonna have to do that on another show.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Leave it to Ricky. He's always breaking
I
stuff.
know it. I'm
Well,
We
one
done lost
of the
another. We lost a YouTube channel because of Ricky.
Right, Blake.
Don't even tell.
Oh Lord. I could
I forgot the email.
maybe I can kind of show you up on here. See, you see that rock? And
Yeah.
see that tree bent around that rock? And then there's a log. Oh shit! Sorry, hold on. There's a log holding it down on either side. And I've told people for years this is kind of something that that Sasquatch will do. I said that's very mysterious.
Yeah. What's the purpose of it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost the same way a tree is flipped upside down and shoved into the ground with a root ball stuck in the air. It's almost as rare as that.
Well, that Blake and I have found here in Georgia. We've actually found that. So yeah, it's wild when you walk up on something like that. You don't know whether you actually want to stay and hang around in the area to do research or you want to hightail it out of there.
And this day that I found this rock like this one only had one stick, and on either side of the log, or on the either side of the rock with the stick, and that stick is broken perfectly over that rock. There's a log on either side of it, and I found logs in the past where there were multiple sticks weaving. It almost looked like a basket over the top of a rock. And I posted this picture up. There's a few pictures of it on social media, and some people got on there and said, "Oh, it was an old tree that fell and then rotted its way across like that." And I'm like, no. In order for that to happen, that tree would have had to rot into dust. This is still, it's an old tree. It's rotted, but it's been, if you look, each contour that it takes of the rock, it's got a snap in it. And that tree is still hard. It's not rotted and it's just didn't
just say, that tree fell in the right way to a limb to fall like that. I mean, it's not going to make a bend, like it's not going to bend, it's just going to break. I mean,
it's going to snap over the top of it.
Yeah.
Have a snap like that or something. And then let alone that, because like I said, I haven't found a lot of these, but I know it's something that they do.
Okay, we have a question here from one of our viewers that says, could it be a grave marker?
I've heard that from some other people, but I mean, this is a really big rock. I'm not going to say they can't lift it, but the rock, it's, there's 30% of it sticking out of the ground and probably 10 or 20 in the ground. It's a huge rock.
Well, and see, that's, who was it that we entered that was on our show? That was one of the things. Yeah, he believes that that's where their burial sites are. They use, rocks to cover them up, or things that aren't just so obvious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, it definitely could be.
It's possible. They have a tremendous amount of strength. One could be buried there. That rock is to keep even a human from trying to excavate it.
Yeah.
And the stick that's bent over it, again, north to south, south to north. That's what it's facing. And it's really weird because, like I said, it's been taken and pushed down into each contour of that rock, and every edge of that rock it's been snapped into that rock. And then a log on each side to hold that down so nothing can move that stick off that rock unless you
But
move
at the
those
same
logs.
time, you think you would recognize if it, if the ground had been disturbed. Like, I mean, there are things that will give you answers as far as if it's a burial ground or not. I mean, unless it's been buried for a long period of time, you're going to notice that ground's been dug up or something like that. I mean,
And granted, it's been there a while. I mean, the rock, I'm sure it's been there for a long time. If it got moved and placed back in there, it's been there a while. That old tree right there hasn't been there that long. That was an old tree in the first place, wrapped around that rock. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. So it's been there for a while.
And around that rock, there was a lot of structures, a lot of X structures, a lot of bends. I want to tell you something about how bends are made too. And I haven't mentioned it often because I felt like people are just going to look at me like I'm a retard, but I don't really care. I think I have a theory on it, and I think I'm pretty on spot with it. And I'll say something about those bends, how they get in a minute. And but when I took that picture that day, just after, well, it's actually on video. I was getting some movement to my left from this rock, just to my left, and it almost sounded like low and vocal, and it almost sounded like movement. And then I did a little bit more filming, and that whole situation creeped me out, so I kind of circled back and made it back to the vehicle. And but something was there, and it was down in a bowl, and with a lot of heavy brush and branches and trees and stuff like that. So whatever it was just out of my sight, and it could see me with my little camcorder running around down there, documenting all their evidence. And they were making a little bit of noise at me. And I can't hear it on the video, but if you turned it up, maybe you can hear it.
Bama Bigfoot made a good point. He said that they don't have to move the rock, just dig under it.
That's possible too. Yeah, that would make sense. They could dig under it, put the body under it, bury it. Yeah, it's a good possibility. And but like I said, some of the other rocks, it was before I even started posting and sharing my stuff with the world, and it almost looked like a basket. And all the rocks that are found with those sticks on them are fairly round, big boulders. They got pretty good contour of being round. And I've seen them where there's multiple ones, and it looked like a big basket placed over the rock. It was freaking amazing. And that's a matter of time before I run into something like that again. I'm pretty sure of it. I run into a lot of crazy shit. You know what I mean? And a lot of rare stuff too on stuff like this. I just, like that pathway. I didn't think I'd run into that, but as far back as I go, it's not surprising I run into some unusual stuff.
But you're also looking. A lot of people just out in the woods, aren't paying attention to stuff like that. You're just overlooked. I mean, nobody people don't think about it.
Yeah.
Why is it like that? Why is this way type situation?
And this Sasquatch, I don't know if you could see him in there. See him?
Oh yeah.
I caught that Sasquatch on camera. There's a little slideshow of him, and here's another. You can see the exact same spot because I was standing in one spot. You see him kind of disappear behind the tree there a little bit, and then the next one he kind of peeks out a little bit more, and then the next one he's strolling along again. And let's see. Yeah, that was it though. And that was up on Twin Sisters. And originally that day, we were fishing. Me and my wife were fishing. We went up here to Lily Lake, and there was just an enormous amount of people around the lake. Nobody was fishing. It was a bunch of tourists. And I said, well, shit, we're trying to find a good spot to fish at. And I said, well, let's go up here to Twin Sisters, take that little dirt road. It goes up in there. And I didn't have my camera with me. I had nothing with me. I just had my fishing poles. I wasn't intending to Sasquatch at all, because that's when it usually happens, when you don't have your equipment. And I just stepped out of the truck. I stepped out of the car, and I just walked back up into the woods there, because I thought I seen something like another structure that I haven't seen before. And then I heard some jibber jabber, some vocals. It sounded like someone talking. And that's when I whipped out my phone. I said, oh, I'm not stupid. And I got that thing ready. And that few seconds that he popped out of that trees, I snapped a series of photos. Pow, pow, pow. And they're a little blurry because, again, this guy, he was out there a ways. With my bare eyes, I could see him. But as soon as I put my camera up, if I was to, keep the original image, it's clear. But all you see is this little dark slit that could be anything, if you were looking at the picture. With my eyes, I watched him walk. And it was funny because I came back and I saw all ecstatic, and I told her, and I was like, he was walking like a damn, like McGregor in the ring, he was walking like he was the shit. He was hunched over. The way he was walking was throwing his arms, just aggressive. I'm the shit, just walking through the forest. And I thought, wow, somebody's ego is way up here. It's just, that's the impression.
Well, going back to what you said about the cameras being manipulated with these creatures. Now, Blake and I are living proof on this deal, because we went our first expedition that we done on Blue Ridge a couple of years ago. We went over there. Okay, we had charged all our cameras. We charged batteries on them before we left that day. All the recorders, fresh batteries in them. Even our lights that we were using that night. We get over there, we get set up. Cameras all failed on us. Recorders failed on us. Now, Blake, am I not right?
They did. I mean, the only thing about like that, the only thing about that though that makes it not like, that it was cold. So batteries and cold don't really go together. So I mean that. I don't know if it was because it was cold or, if something was, messing with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know a lot of the times I've gone out gathering evidence, making a video, checking things out. My battery was completely full. I get up in there, and my dumb ass doesn't bring another battery with me, and I do that all the time. And my battery's dead as a doornail with 15 minutes of video, when that battery should last me 3 hours. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I got to shut the camera off. I walk all the way back to the truck, and I put 3 batteries in my pocket. And then I go back and start documenting some more in different places. And then I'll go other places where my 1 3-hour battery does just that. It lasts me over an hour or 30 minutes of filming that I do. So I know what you're talking about. They drain your battery. They drain your, and my cell phone is the same way. I'll reach into my pocket. My cell phone's dead. And I'm surprised. I'm glad that didn't happen that day. I caught that picture of that guy when my cell phone wasn't dead.
Did you want to share your theory on the bends?
The bends?
Yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of trees that I find out there. And other researchers and other people will find out there these crazy bends. Some of them are real tight. Some of them are real elongated, tight bends, different type of styles, but they're all the same thing. A lot of these trees, you just can't exactly take that tree and bend it without snapping at some point, even maybe in a couple of spots. But no, a lot of these trees, there may be a small stress fracture at one point in the bend, but that's it. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you able to take a tree that can't bend in that way without it purely snapping? Okay, you put a tree, say a log, a lot of these, what do they call them? They take and manipulate logs into stuff. And they take them and they put them in extreme heat. And they could take and bend that tree, that log that they're going to use in some kind of artwork, and they put it in a big kindling thing or whatever they call them, heats it up, and they can take and make a freaking bend out of those with no break. Okay, and I've thought about this for years. My dad's told me about it. What they thought could do, how that could happen, and I said that makes perfect sense. When the Sasquatch, I think they generate a huge amount of heat in their hands, and they grab onto that tree, and it's this huge amount of heat that comes out of their hands because there's people in India that do healing, and their hands get so hot over the person's body that person says it feels like somebody's holding a hot iron over the top of their skin. It's so excruciatingly hot, and I believe that they generate a huge amount of high heat with their hands to heat that tree to where they can easily bring that tree down and stuff it under another log or bring it over another log just to hold it down, so when it cools it doesn't slowly want to manipulate that itself back up, you know. And I honestly believe that. Like I think their hands, they do a lot of other crazy shit, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so far fetched. I mean,
I think they generate this heat out of their hands, and they heat that tree up with, because like I said, our humans, they do the same thing. They can generate this excruciating amount of heat out of their hands that can actually feel like it's burning somebody. If you know how to do it, you know, that's another level of consciousness, you know?
Yep.
And they can take and heat that tree up with their hands, make it so hot that they can manipulate that tree and bend that whole tree down without it snapping. You know what I mean? Because I could take an excavator and pull a tree down and try to get it to bend down, and every time that sucker's just going to go like this and start to bow, and then it's going to go pow. But these guys will take a tree this big around, or bigger, different sizes, you know, and take and have that sucker bent clean over like that with maybe a small stress fracture on the top end of it. That's it. What do y'all think of that?
Just as far as the bends are concerned, why do you think these creatures actually do that?
Well, they do that I think they do that to signify water. They take those bends, and I've noticed it so many times. I mean, in other areas maybe it's different, but up in the Colorado area, Montana, all this western United States, they'll take a bend, and every time I notice that bend is pointing right at a spring, right at a marsh, right at water, a lake, a stream, you know, anything to do with water. And the Native Americans used to do the same thing. They used to take and bend small saplings into a bend like that to show and to signify where water's at. Pointing right towards water.
Wow. Well, guys, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. I've got to work tomorrow, so I'm going to back her on off here. Zeus, I want to thank you, bud, for coming on the show tonight. Maybe in a couple of weeks we can get you back on here with us.
yep. Thank you as always, Zeus. We always love having you on the show.
All right. Yeah, I'm always happy to be here.
Just know you got our support at least.
Oh yeah, you definitely have.
Most definitely.
Yeah, you guys definitely have my support.
I'd like to thank all our viewers for tuning in tonight, and for those who will watch us in the future. Mr. Blake, you want to go ahead and close out the show, buddy?
As always, guys, we can't thank you guys enough for your support. If you don't mind, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, like, and a comment. And if you don't mind, also give this video a share. Go support Zeus's channel. Show him some love. Western Slope Bigfoot. And hope everyone has a good evening and a good week. And that's all.
All right. Again, Zeus, thank you, buddy, for being on the show. Thank everyone for watching. Rick Weaver, Blake Duckworth, Northwest Georgia Cryptics. Catch us next week. See y'all.
See you guys next time.
See you, Zeus.